From Australia, this is VK1WIA and the weekly WIA amateur radio news service on RF, internet streaming and text at wia.org.au.
Hello there, I'm Graham, VK4 Baker. Yes, it's Sunday, March the 8th, 2020, and this is the VK National News broadcast, being broadcast across Australia, across the globe, from VK1WIA. Usually this is the best news you'll get all week. And please, if you are only submitting text and not audio, never send just links and URLs, but write your story as you'd expect to hear it being read back. Again this week, no WIA director's spot, but again this week and every week, you can see the news. A video version of news is compiled by VK5 Bravo Delta, Bevan, and the link to his radioactive YouTube channel is in the written word this week. Best read at wia.org.au. Tim, VK2ZTM from Amateur Radio New South Wales, did contact the National News Desk this week to say next Wednesday, March 11, will be the 110th anniversary of the meeting in Sydney of the experimenters of the day who were trying to get a better deal from the authorities. From that meeting grew the Wireless Institute of New South Wales, later the New South Wales Division. And over time, the other divisions and the WIA developed. The date of March 11, 1910, makes us the oldest national amateur radio society in the world. Amateur Radio New South Wales is the name adopted by the former New South Wales Division to avoid confusion with the WIA, and is proud to be able to trace its origins back to that very first meeting. ARNSW will be holding a small celebration at their March Trash and Treasure, being held at Dural, Sunday, March 29.
Across Australia from VK1WIA, you're tuned to the WIA National News Service. In Tasmania, it can be heard on repeaters right around the state on 2 metres and 70 centimetres at 0900 on Sundays, and repeated at 2000 hours on Tuesdays on VK7RTC in the south and VK7RAA in the north. I'm Mike, VK7 Foxtrot Bravo.
Hello, this is Ben, VK7BEN from the WIA 2020 Annual Conference Organising Committee. We continue this week with information about some of our other Sunday activities. In previous weeks, we have covered the trip out to the Groot Reba Museum and the radio telescope, along with the Mawson's Hut Replica Museum. There are 2 other great options also available on the Sunday, and they include the Tasmanian Maritime Museum and the Tasmanian Museum and Art Gallery. The Maritime Museum is housed in the beautiful Carnegie Building and features many maritime-themed displays from convict times through to the modern day. They will even have displayed, especially for the conference weekend, the original letter that Roald Amundsen wrote to the Norwegian king following his trip to Antarctica. The Tasmanian Museum and Art Gallery has a permanent exhibition called Island to Ice. This exhibition examines the definitions, perceptions and the mythology around Antarctica and the Southern Ocean. It explores the places, people, creatures and the phenomena that makes up this great southern wilderness and makes it a world of its own. It is an invitation to journey to the south from Hobart across the oceans to the frozen continent of Antarctica. And now a stop press of sorts. The Mawson's Hut Replica Museum has just announced that it is now exhibiting a unique piece of Antarctic aviation history for the very first time. Australian explorer Sir Douglas Mawson was the first person to fly a plane in Antarctica, and the tail section of this aircraft is now on exhibit at the Mawson's Hut Replica Museum. Mawson had planned to use the Vickers monoplane, but it crashed in Adelaide before departure for Antarctica. So he decided that the fuselage of the damaged aircraft could be used to fashion an air tractor which he used to tow sledges around in Antarctica. The modified aircraft only made one trip, towing a sledge for 19 kilometres before the engine seized, but it still remains the first plane to fly in Antarctica. It is affectionately known as the Grasshopper. I finish with a quick reminder about the discounts at the venue, Best Western. Just remind them it's for the WIA conference. And also that there are discounts on the Spirit of Tasmania ferries for fares and accommodation. See you in Hobart. 73s from Ben at VK7BEN and the WIA Annual Conference Organising Committee.
From Australia, this is VK1WIA and the weekly WIA amateur radio news service on RF, internet streaming and text at wia.org.au.
International news with thanks to IARU, RSGB, SARL, Southgate Amateur Radio Club, ARRL, RAC, NZART, Amateur Radio Newsline and the worldwide sources of the WIA. I'm Jason, VK2LAW. Global Shortwave Coordination. The A20 Global Shortwave Coordination Conference was held in Kuala Lumpur at the end of last month and was the conference providing an important forum to resolve or minimise instances of mutual interference among shortwave transmissions for the summer A20 season. The A20 season runs from the 29th of March to the 25th of October in the calendar year 2020. Delegates from shortwave broadcasters and frequency management organisations had a valuable opportunity to coordinate their frequencies directly with the frequency managers of other broadcasters in this regard. 31 frequency managers from 18 countries representing 21 frequency management organisations took part. The Asia Pacific Broadcasting Union hosted the A20 conference. To New Zealand, Wanganui Amateur Radio Society is looking for newcomers to take their ham-cram course to get their 1 kilowatt SEPT Class 1 equivalent licence in just 2 days. New Zealand has a single class of licence that permits 1 kilowatt output and requires passing a single 60-question multiple-choice exam. The pass mark is 40. Ham-cram courses have grown in popularity in recent years. People starting from scratch can get licensed in just 2 days of study. Pass rates for many courses are 100%. New UHF radio microphone devices general user spectrum licenses are required in ZL. The current licenses will expire Wednesday the 11th of March 2020. New radio microphone devices GUSL licence 666 MHz commence on the 12th of March and will be in force until March 2025. To Europe, in Germany, the Institute for Broadcasting Technology, an important radio resource, is closing its doors at the end of the year, though some are trying to save it with an online petition. Broadcasting Technology, which is headquartered in Munich-Freimann, serves public broadcasting companies in Austria, Germany and Switzerland with its research. Much of its work has focused on radio, TV and internet technology, but it's also addressed amateur radio concerns with its study of RFI from LED lamps. In the United Kingdom, guidance for limiting exposure to EMF. Following the launch of an Ofcom consultation on EM field exposure, the RSGB has released a briefing paper for all UK amateurs. This gives more details as the proposals involve a change to licence conditions for any station operating with greater than 10 watts EIRP. The Society has formed a team to prepare a considered response to Ofcom's consultation and will be offering further guidance ahead of the 15th of May deadline. To the United States, US amateurs respond to 3.4 GHz threat. A proposal by the FCC in the USA to remove the entire amateur 3.4 GHz allocation without compensation has seen strong opposition as ARRL, AMSAT and hundreds of individual amateurs have filed comments in response to a current consultation. The ARRL highlighted decades of active usage and experimentation, including mesh networks, amateur television, weak signal, long-distance communication, EME communication, propagation research, and emerging amateur satellite developments. In its comments, ARRL argued it would therefore be premature to remove the current secondary amateur radio allocation in the US. For WIA National News, in Sydney, I'm Jason, VK2LAW.
Across Australia from VK1WIA, you're tuned to the WIA National News Service. In VK7 it can be heard on the VK7 repeater networks across Tasmania and on HF frequencies from 9am each Sunday, followed by the VK7 regional news broadcast from 9:30am. Hi, I'm Paul, VK7 Fox Papa Alpha Hotel.
Ham Radio Operational News is the contact sport. I'm Felix, VK4FUQ. WIA John Moyle Field Day 2020. Weekend of 21-22 March from UTC 0100 hours on the Saturday to 0059 hours on the Sunday 22nd. March 28-29, the CQ Worldwide WPX contest for amateurs worldwide to contact as many amateurs and prefixes as possible during the contest using SSB. The date for the next Harriendale Sprint will be Saturday, May 2nd, 2020, 10 hours to 11:46 UTC. May 30-31, the CQ Worldwide WPX contest for amateurs worldwide to contact as many amateurs and prefixes as possible during the contest using CW. The VK Shires, the June long weekend, which is a weekend prior to the second Monday of June this year, making June 6 and 7 in 2020. IAA HF World Championship July 13-14. Trans-Tasman Low Band Contest. Next contest 17 July 2020. And has the aim of encouraging low band activity between VK and ZL on 160, 80 and 40 metres, using SSB, CW and RIDI or PSK. RD or Remembrance Day contest will be August 15-16. Oceania contest. Boys from 0800 hours UTC Saturday October 3 to 0800 hours UTC Sunday October 4. CW from 0800 hours UTC Saturday October 10 to 0800 hours UTC Sunday October 11. CQ Worldwide DXSSB, October 24-25. CQ Worldwide DXCW, November 28-29. December 6 to 8, 160 metres worldwide. December 14 to 15, 10 metre worldwide. Ted Powell Memorial DX Challenge. 4 award periods, each for 3 months starting in January of each calendar year, and 2 categories in the contest. Most Wanted and Top 5. Top 5, you try and work the 5 most wanted DXCC entities, and the most wanted, you work the most wanted DXCC entity. The DX entities in play are those most wanted during the 3-month windows. All major Australian contest rules and results are on the contest section of the WIA website. Through the DX window. Let's check out the DXCC most wanted entities list. It's been updated on Clublog and contains 340 entities. The following are the top 5 entities. Number 1, P5 DPRK, North Korea. Number 2, 3Y-B, Bibby Island. Number 3, FT5-W, Crozey Island. Number 4, BS7H, Scarborough Reef. Number 5, C0X, San Felix Islands. The 340th or least needed is Italy, and Australia ranks 298th. A multinational DX expedition led by Rooney, LA7THA, are in Zambia until the 15th of March. Call sign 9J2LA, and on 160-6 metres CWSSB RIDI and FT8. Royal Netherlands Army Belize Operation. Look for the 11 Air Mobile Brigade from the Royal Netherlands Army and Radio Squad to be activated as V31FX. This station will be operating in jungle training in Belize from different locations with different antennas on 20 metres phone using military equipment. As soon as they are able to make DX contacts, they will update their QRZ.com page. Main focus is to make contacts with Dutch amateur radio stations, but all contacts are welcome. Please use NATO phonetic alphabet when calling. QSL via PI4CC. Siggy, DL7DF and friends travel to Reunion Island in the Indian Ocean. TO7DL until the 16th of March on 160 to 10 metres including 60 metres on CW, SSB and digital. QSL via DL7DF. 3 Russian amateurs will operate as EX0QR from Kyrgyzstan until the 17th of March. Look for them on 160 to 10 metres on CW, SSB and digital. Harold, DF2WO has returned to Rwanda for another visit until the 22nd of March and has reactivated his 9X2AW call sign. He plans to be 160, 20, 17, 15 and 10 metres on CW, SSB, RTTY and FT8. For VK1WIA National News, I'm Felix, VK4FU Winningham.
From Australia, this is VK1WIA and the weekly WIA amateur radio news service on RF, internet streaming and text at wia.org.au.
The Q News Workbench, the nuts and bolts report where we suggest you measure twice, cut once. Scalextric, a model with a difference, which actually works in real time. A working scale model of an HF curtain array antenna is on display at the National Voice of America Museum of Broadcasting in Ohio. The model, which operates on 70 centimetres, is a 4x2 design with a screen reflector and is the same style of antenna the VOA Bethany relay station used until its final transmissions in November 1994. Westchester Amateur Radio Association members Richard WC8RK and Joe WA8OGS designed and constructed this curtain array. NZEC Pro 4 antenna modelling software indicates the antenna has a gain of 21.35 dBi at 8 degrees at a half wavelength above ground. The museum will open for extended hours during the Dayton Hamvention for those interested in seeing the model, and particularly those from VK, Dayton bound.
You are listening to the weekly amateur radio news service from VK1WIA. However, in the Upper Spencer Gulf region of VK5, you may be watching a visual adaptation of the news at 7 p.m. local via the VK5 RDC digital amateur television repeater, or on the stream at batc.org.uk/live/VK5BD. This has been Bevan, Victor Kilo 5, Bravo Delta.
Hi, I'm Bruce, VK3FFF from Bendigo. Worldwide Special Interest Group News. Females in Radio. Jonathan Nally, writing for Critical Comms, says Australian two-way radio communications firm Mastercom has appointed Ms. Dale Doyle as its first female general manager. She began her employment with Mastercom 13 years ago as the company's financial controller, and upon this new appointment said, "I am absolutely thrilled to take on the role of general manager and look forward to making a positive impact on this ever-growing, well-established business." Ms. Dale has also played a critical role in assisting Mastercom's managing director, Hamish Duff, in founding the Orion National Network that links two-way radio communications across Australia, and in establishing Queensland company Queensland Radio Services. Mastercom has recently undergone a considerable growth in operations and has more than doubled its staff numbers. Worldwide Special Interest Group's Final Frontier. New QO100 band plan announced. Just in time for the one-year anniversary of the successful commissioning of the two transponders of Qatar Oscar 100, an encore is pending. The capacity of the NB transponder will be expanded to almost 500 kilohertz. In addition to extended areas for the various operating modes, more space is also being created in particular for mixed mode and other special operating cases. In addition to frequencies reserved for emergency radio operations, more experiments are to be made possible here. But all this only with a maximum bandwidth of 2.7 kilohertz. To take account of user behaviour, AMSAT DL has almost doubled the SSB range in particular. Detailed information is available when you read the text edition of this WIA National Newscast. Worldwide Special Interest Groups Rescue Radio. Department of Health Communications Test in Utah. Linden KG7SXQ tells how a covey of volunteers showed up in person and on the air to assist hospitals and the Department of Health with a communications test across the US state. Some 30 volunteers, some from the Dixie Amateur Radio Club across southern Utah, participated. VHF net control 2 metres and in Cedar City digital using 80 metres. At Dixie Regional Medical Centre and other hospitals, messages pre-formatted were sent. The radios also were at the Department of Health and from the Veterans Care Centre, with some volunteers checking in from their home QTH. It was a good day for amateur radio, some community service. Special interest groups, VHF and above. The 23 centimetre band is under scrutiny. IARU Region 1 is actively participating in the regulatory work taking place in CEPT to consider coexistence between their secondary amateur and amateur satellite service and the primary radio navigation satellite service, principally the Galileo system. The Galileo services are delivered in a number of bands and one occupies the 1260 to 1300 MHz band. The Galileo team has witnessed interference from amateur TV transmissions which resulted in station shutdown and has experienced interference from high-power EME operations too. Work is at an early stage and the latest IARU Region 1 newsletter says they will continue to try and minimise the impact on amateur operations. However, it is likely that some changes will be necessary to the way the band is utilised. I'm Bruce, VK3FFF.
This is VK1WIA. All points of contacts from today's news stories are to be found in print when you read the web editions, www.wia.org.au.
On the social scene, and with this being a short news this week, I think we've got time to go right through till 2021. In VK4, Tannum Sands Gathering, March 14. VK7 Meet the Voice event, Ross Recreation Centre, that's March the 22nd. In VK3, EMDRC Hamfest, Sunday, March 29. VK4 Redfest 2020, April 18, St Michael's College on the Old Torble Point Road from 8 a.m. And for VK4 listeners, in Q News, we'll hear a much more detailed report on Redfest 2020. VK6 Perth Tech, May 2 at Bassendean. The WIA Annual Conference happens May 8 to 10 in Hobart. VK4 Chark Theresa Creek Campout, Friday the 29th till Sunday the 31st of May. VK5 Southeast Radio Group's annual convention and the Australian Fox Hunting Championships. It's in June 6, 7 and 8. On July 11 we've got 3 events, 2 of them close by in VK3, 1 of them in VK4. VK3 we've got the Gippsland Gate Radio and Electronics Club Hamfest, Saturday July 11 at Cranbourne Public Hall. Also in VK3, Gipstech 2020 happens July 11, and the Caboolture Radio Club's Hamfest in VK4, July 11. VK6, NCRG Hamfest, August the 30th, that's the Sunday. VK4, Chark Incorporated's AGM Weekend, September 25 to 27 at Fairbairn Dam. Alara Meet 2020 happens in Bendigo, October 2 through to October 5. And in VK7, the last one for the year in November, the VK7 Biennial Hamfest. 2021 in VK4, it's the TARC Australia Day Long Week Family Radio Camp 2021. Now this happens Thursday afternoon the 21st to Tuesday afternoon the 26th of January 2021. Girl Guides Association of Queensland Campsite and the Training Centre in Bluewater, and AX4WIT will be on air from the camp on the 26th. Now till next we meet, I'm Graham, VK4BB. Walk softly.
From Australia, this has been VK1WIA and the weekly WIA amateur radio news service. On RF, we thank our rebroadcast team and you for listening. And remember, internet streaming and text of this news is available 24/7 at wia.org.au.